is the Lockpicker 1969, and welcome to my channel, and welcome to the next episode of Interview with the Lockpicker. Today's guest is Bandito Brandino. Say hi.
Hello,
So, where are you from?
I'm from Southern California, but feels more like Arizona because it's the southeast corner. It's a desert.
I understand lately it's been pretty hot, too.
Oh yeah, I'm in Bakersfield just today, and it's similar here too.
Ugh.
Yeah, in the hundreds Fahrenheit.
So, how did you get into locksport?
Um, well, we had was a Rule 2 violation. I probably shouldn't admit this, but it was we got a location. We were locked out of it by a new bridge inspector, and there was no way for us to get our property out. So I researched. I remember I was moving a load of bees, and I did a quick search on podcasts.
Because you're a beekeeper.
Yes. Sorry, should have mentioned that.
That's okay.
And I did a quick search on podcasts, looking for. But they had to back up. They blocked the bridge off, which is this small rural bridge that hardly gets used other than by us. They use these concrete K rails. At the end of each K rail, they place a chain there with a master lock, a Magnum one. And so I thought, I could probably move that K rail if I needed to, but lock. I thought it might be easier to pick than it was. That was not so hard, but at the time I remember really struggling with them.
Okay.
But, yeah, so I looked up a podcast. I think the first one I found was like a survivalist podcast that talked about, from a doomsday scenario where that might be a skill you need, and I'm not so interested in that necessarily. But that was sort of my intro to it. Lock picking, I guess.
Okay. So then what happened next once you learned how to do that?
Well, I thought I was smooth, and I went out. I felt like James Bond. I remember, and I set out there one day, and again, nobody drives in this area pretty much, and I sit out there with fishing, my fishing poles and everything, and I looked like I was fishing, and when I wouldn't see anybody for a while, I'd try on this lock, and I tried for hours, and nothing. So I went back home, and at the local hardware I bought a Magnum lock, and I worked on that for hours and hours, and I'd get it open every once in a while, and yeah, I eventually got it figured out and was able to go back out there and get one of the locks open and make a key for it. But yeah, so.
So you learned impressioning also then? Or did
What
you?
I actually did, yeah, I was trying to remember the timeline the other day. I actually, somewhere in there, I got a leashy coder.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, so then I was able to map out the key, the bitting size, and from that I was able to file a key.
Awesome.
Yeah. But then after that, we had the key, and I got the property out, and closed it back up, and no harm, no foul, I figured. We have other locations out in that area, and I'd drive by and I'd see someone else was messing with the lock. One time it looked like someone smashed or they used like a sledgehammer, and they put there's 4 locks. There's 2 K rails, one on each end of the bridge, and one set of chains with the lock on each end. And someone had taken one of the locks, and they were smashing it with like a sledgehammer against the concrete K rail. And I'd spent so much time researching these dumb master locks that I sort of felt ownership over them to some degree, and I was a bit offended. So I took one of the Magnum locks I had, and I swapped it out there, and I took the one that was beat up. I took it home, and I tried repairing it the best I could, because I thought, I want this person to come back. They didn't get through, and I was sort of proud of the lock for that. So I went back, and I put this beat up lock, which looked much better now, and I thought, man, this is really going to shock them when they come back, thinking maybe they'll have round 2 at it. And this lock looks like it's healing itself. But then I did that, and then a few months later, I was back in the area, and someone had taken one of the other locks. I don't know how they got it off, but they'd thrown it in the river.
Oh no.
So, yeah. So it was. I got some baling wire, and I was able to fish it out. And I waded down into the water. It was wintertime. It was freezing, and I pulled the lock out. And this is just now becoming, my side passion, I guess. These locks out on this rural bridge, and I pulled it out, and I chained the lock back up, and it was still functioning. I don't know how they got it open, but so I locked it back up, thinking, these guys are. I'm blowing someone's mind over here. They don't know what's going on. But
where are these locks coming
about
from?
6 months later, exactly. Well, 6 months later, someone went through it and they shot it with a gun, and it went right through the core. But I mean, we all know about locks. That used to be a Master Lock advertisement.
Yep.
They're tough under fire, and it didn't open it. And with the octagonal, I just butchered that word, octagon shaped shackle, they tried cutting it, and you could see where they had to bend the arms on their bolt cutters quite a bit, but eventually it did crack, and that was on the ground. So I took that lock home, and I put it in resin. So now it's on my desk as a bit of a paperweight. But
that's cool.
Yeah, I couldn't repair that one.
So having had that experience and that ramped up interest in locks, where did that take you as far as the hobby goes?
Well, from there I got on Facebook, and someone had mentioned about the karate belt system on Reddit, and that really sounded appealing to me. So I checked out. I wasn't on Reddit before that, so I got on Reddit just for that. And I was on Reddit for, it's probably quite common, I think we were talking earlier, to be on Reddit up until like green belt, blue belt. And I remember around blue belt, you needed to make the challenge lock, and I didn't know him at the time, but Cajun Lockpick had made the Green Goblin, and he was about the same level I was, except for he was doing a lot of networking. And I believe it was him who maybe mentioned to me something about Discord. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was someone else. But from around blue belt, I moved to the Discord.
Okay.
And that's been super cool.
So you got onto Facebook because I'm assuming you wanted to learn more and talk to other people. What was that experience like to get involved in the community, and how involved would you say you are today with it?
On Facebook, it was. I thought it was good. I don't have any complaints about it.
Okay.
I don't know that I was super involved on Facebook. I think I was more just a spectator.
A lurker.
But yes. But on Reddit, I felt like I got more involved. I felt like there was more. I felt like it was easier to make a post. On Facebook, I felt like if I made a post, I felt like it was a lot more visible, and I didn't want that visibility when I knew so little. I felt like on Reddit, it felt a little bit safer to ask questions.
Sure.
And I could be ignorant and try to inform myself. So and people were super helpful on Reddit, and even more so on Discord. I think people you get more and more passionate people. I think when you go to Discord, I feel like it's more high end locks, and so it's people who are really into the hobby. I mean, people are into it on Reddit and Facebook, of course, but I just feel like there's different levels to it. I felt personally.
Sure, and I would imagine that over time that concern about coming off as not being experienced or knowledgeable went away, and you were more comfortable with just openly talking with everybody else about things, and that questions were welcomed. And
yes.
Okay,
it's the way to learn.
Yeah. So when you first were getting going, you said you looked at some different videos on the Magnum to understand it better. Who else would you say from like the YouTube universe were influencers that kind of helped guide you along the way?
Lockpicking lawyer is probably the go-to. I feel like it's cooler to say Bosnian Bill, and I didn't get into Bosnian Bill till a little bit later. Um, there's yeah, lockpicking. I just remember being amazed by how he can identify, and maybe I mean still to this day, how he identifies each pin so clearly. And I felt like when he'd meet shear lines, the clicks were so loud. I mean, it was a bit of ASMR sort of.
Yeah.
And he made it seem so simple. Bosnian Bill, I felt I feel like his picking was a bit more realistic.
Yeah.
He's just talking, and um, early on it was lock picking lawyer.
Okay.
Me.
Then who did you move to beyond Bosnian Bill?
It was. I'm sure I checked out the Lock Noob and Bosnian Bill, and then I think after Blue Belt, I started finding locks where I needed a lot more information, and still go back to like Legend of the Samurai, Isaac Cashman, Artichoke, way they go through and explain so much of the detail. I love their tutorial videos. Isaac Cashman has one that's helped me out immensely with the ASA 700.
Okay.
And I just watched a video by Artichoke on the Miwa U9 I'm working on. And I mean, it's just, I could figure all that out for myself, except for it would have taken me months. So,
Okay.
so it's like the Cliff Notes, I feel, and I appreciate it.
Well, I mean, along those same lines, you indicated you went to Reddit and Discord because of the belts. So, what belt are you?
I'm a red belt currently.
And you're pursuing black, I'm assuming?
Yeah. Um, round blue belt is when I got in contact with Agent Lockpick, and he got me in touch with the lock jock. And it seems like, I don't know how common this is. It seems like to me like there's small clicks, but not in a bad way, not in a way that we're against each other. I feel like everybody's super helpful.
Yeah.
In the community, but like I feel like in my head, I feel like maybe there's you and Lady Locks and Sadistic have come up together, and you guys push each other up, and help each other out. You guys help everybody out, but as there's like, it's almost like your graduating class, so to speak. And I feel like Cajun and Lockjock, that for me. So one of them would make a new belt ranking, and then they'd help me to get to that belt ranking, and I didn't want to get left behind, and they're talking locks and I don't know what they're talking about, so I chased that. And Lockjock, he just got his first black belts locks, so I had to follow suit, and Cajun's right there too. He's about to get it. And get the question. Where I'm at. So we got to red, and I was thinking like, this has been such a rush and it's been so much fun, but I feel like I have a bit of ADHD, and I collect all these hobbies as you do, as we talk. I feel like I'm worried. Like I keep my hobbies forever. I just keep collecting them, but the intensity of them kind of dies off. So I'm thinking like,
Yeah.
I don't want to rush through the belt system so much. I sort of want to enjoy red a little bit. I want to, they can't get 2 ranks ahead of me. They're Lockjock and Cajun. They'll make black, but then I'll still be right on their heels with red.
Yeah.
Ever if that's the case. So I thought, I'm just gonna slow it down. I'm gonna enjoy blocks here and sort of explore. In fact, I've even kind of regressed a little bit and done a few roll belt locks and brown. I mean, it's just, they're fun.
So what have some of your latest accomplishments or pursuits been as of late?
Well, I recently got on tape an ASA 700, which I believe to be black belt, and previous to that, I've always thought it was pretty cool everything that Panda Frog gives to the community. This Challenge Lock webpage, when I was building challenge locks for a while, and I'm going to get back into that. I thought that was so cool. And then on his webpage, he also has these challenges.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know that he heads them up necessarily, like the Vegemite challenge and the 1 million Scoville challenge. And I always thought that was so cool. So I started the Blue Whale challenge.
Yep.
Where you you pick, which yeah, you've done that, and I
Yeah,
appreciate that.
that
And
was
it's
fun.
been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun watching everybody's videos, and
You
so that's been taking a lot of time.
you've inspired me to do a few things myself, which are going to be coming out here shortly. The I wanted to mention, since you're talking about challenge locks and coming out with more of them, I want to invite you for the challenge lock workshop series. One of the aspects or interview aspects that I want to start introducing more is challenge lock makers coming forward with challenge locks they intend to release out there to help generate interest in the lock. Maybe talk to what difficulty level they think the lock is so that the right people are pursuing this, or people who are ambitious and want to try to push themselves can then understand, where, this particular challenge lock you're releasing stands. So I want to help the community introduce new challenge locks and raise awareness of the locks that are coming out that are new out there, so challenge lock makers can start putting together a list of people that are interested in getting their locks. So
That sounds like a super great idea.
I'm hoping
Sounds
that.
and it build up hype. I remember
Yeah. Yep.
I was talking earlier about Cajun. I remember the lock. It was a green American 1100, and it was named. He named it the Green Goblin. And I remember watching that video and being intimidated a bit by challenge locks, but because there was, I saw it. I still haven't seen it in person. If I ever did, it'd be like meeting a celebrity. I feel because there was that
I've seen a
anticipation
picture.
built up.
I've only seen a
Yeah. Well, I'm
picture.
saying, I feel like what you're talking about, it'll really build up anticipation for these locks and add to the, the fun that can be had.
So tell us a little bit about your first challenge lock you did for Blue Belt.
First challenge lock was also an American 1100. I think I was inspired by Cajuns. It was named Cash, and it was a black 1100. So I was worried that I would be this green belt trying for blue and try too hard and try to throw every trick into it. And I hadn't picked the challenge lock at the time, so I didn't want to do anything too crazy with the pins afterwards. I didn't want to be seen as someone trying too hard, or thinking they're some great challenge lock maker. So what I spent more time on was the outside of the lock. So I engraved a picture of Johnny Cash on the outside, and it made the rounds around the United States, and I shared it with I have young kids. I have 3 kids, and I was sharing it with them, and they were super stoked. And then I shipped it to Louisiana, and I had to pull out the map, like, listen, Cash is in Louisiana, then it was in Alaska at one point, Pennsylvania.
That's
and
cool.
Then it was a lot of fun. And then Knox Locks got it, and he made like 2 or 3 videos on it, and it was so cool. And every time a video comes across with that lock on it, my kids get excited.
That's
I get
cool.
more excited than them, but yeah. Well, anyways, he sent that thing on a European tour, so now I'm showing the kids where it's at in Scotland and in Ireland and throughout the UK. It's been super cool.
That's cool. It would be kind of cool to see a map with some like pinpoints on it everywhere that the lock has been.
Yeah, I think there is an option for that on Panafrog's website, though I haven't figured it out how to do that.
That would be very cool.
Yeah.
So, but you've made other challenge locks since then. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Agent sent me a group of challenge locks. He's done that a few times, and in there, one of them was Schleg Everest, and I thought that was super cool. At the time, I thought I saw the side pinning, and I thought, well, this is like a Schleg Primus. I've seen something on it. This is high end, and I talked to him. And he's like, yeah, it's not that high end, but it's cool. Well, after I picked it and I gutted it, I found out it was standard. So he's like, well, we'll make a challenge lock out of it. So I made green boots, which was, I think I've made 9 challenge locks so far, but that's one that's coming to mind right now. Lady Locks picked it. Sadistic picked it. I think maybe Trucking Lock has picked it. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I like adding stories to it. So I have like a
Yeah,
logbook
themes.
and
Yep.
yeah, like Green Boots was a guy who died on Everest, and I guess if you die at such a high altitude, it's too dangerous to pull the bodies down. So they use him as a landmark to know you're getting close to the peak. So I thought, like Everest, Mount Everest, but I love stuff like that.
Okay. All right. Last question before we wrap up. I wanted to ask you, what other hobbies do you have that are of particular interest,
Oh
outside of
man.
locksport and beekeeping? Can't include those.
All right, we got 45 more minutes, 2 hours. uh, I've gotten into
Give us the
flying
highlight.
before. Flying, like you, car racing, but I did dirt track for a
Okay.
couple of years, like just circle track racing. One point I made a moonshine still. I just distilled water probably, but and I'd say I was into jujitsu for a year. I'd like to get back into that. Surfing's been a lifelong hobby. I know there's others. Oh,
Okay.
cycling, triathlon. I did a couple Ironman,
All
things
right.
like that. I think we talked. I think you
Yeah.
thought maybe you have ADHD and
My
don't
hobby
collect
is
hobbies.
collecting hobbies. Yep.
Likewise.
And every one of them becomes a rabbit hole eventually at some point. And yep.
Right. Yeah.
I
Amen, brother.
definitely. All right, I really do. I appreciate you doing the interview, and I had a blast talking with you on the pre-interview. That was a lot of fun. Seemed like we had quite a few things in common, even though, yeah, you won't catch me within 100 yards of a beehive. But other than that, it seemed like there were a few things in there that were of interest that we had in common, which was cool. All
Yeah,
right.
woodwork. Yeah, that's another one.
Yeah,
So,
woodworking definitely for me. All right, well, with that, we're going to wrap this one up. If you are a subscriber, thank you. If you are not yet a subscriber, please hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications and all, and hit like on the video. And thanks for listening.